So what I'm going to be talking about today is how God moves through us and how everything that happens to us in life is a part of his plan and how he does everything to better us. So I'm going to start with, it's super easy to look back on life and miss like who we used to be or what we used to do when life felt simpler, more light, things were more certain. Like as a kid, your parents are always going to get you McDonald's and the newest drinks. But sometimes that we forget that God never meant for us to stay the same. He intended for us to grow. And every season, even the hard ones, is shaping us into who he's calling us to be. And then, he brought us this far, and God is still working, refining, still leading us forward to who we really are and who we really need to be. And what that's kind of saying is that when we change, it's less changing and more growing. And I have something for that. A real world example for that would be going through a difficult season, like losing friends, struggling in school, or dealing with family problems. Before, they might have been impatient, angry, or only focused on themselves. They pray, they spend time with God, and slowly start trusting him more. The situation around them may not instantly change, but they begin to grow. They become more patient, more understanding, stronger mentally, and kinder to others who are hurting. God didn't just change them overnight, like flipping a switch. He grew them over time, the same way a tree grows. And I have James chapter 1, verse 2 through 4. If I can find that. I struggle with this. My brothers, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing that the trying of your faith develops patience. But let patience complete its work, that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. And that's just kind of saying, through him, it's producing perseverance and maturity in faith, as long as you let him do what he needs to do. And instead of longing for what was, we need to trust that what he is doing now has purpose, and even if it feels unfamiliar, we are not losing ourselves. We are growing into something new and strong, and someone that is close to God spiritually and faithfully. For that, Isaiah 43:18-19. Do not remember the former things, nor consider things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not be aware of it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. I just thought that was, important, on letting go of who you used to be and then letting go of what holds you back from becoming a better you. And then looking back on how I said it's easy to go back and miss what we were, it's also very easy to carry our pasts like a heavy burden, always replaying mistakes and regrets that we wish we could take back. But God never asked us to live with such an awful mindset. He calls us forward, not backward. He always wants us to progress. And then through Jesus, our past is forgiven, our failures are covered, and our story is being rewritten with grace. Letting go does not mean pretending it never happens. It means that trusting God has already redeemed... lost my place. Letting go does not mean pretending it never happened. It means trusting God has already redeemed it and is using it for something greater. We are not who we were. We are who he says that we are. And every step forward is proof that his mercy is bigger than our past. This next one's kind of taking a step away from that. I've noticed that, and I've shared about this in other devotionals, but I've noticed that a lot of people pray to God and they expect it to get, changed instantly, like that's going to do anything. But it can be hard to be patient when life feels slow or uncertain, especially when you are praying and not seeing answers right away. But God is always working, even when you cannot see it. In the waiting, he is shaping your heart, building your faith, and preparing what is ahead. This is so very important to remember because so many people don't realize that, God sets things up for the long run, and what you think may not be the best for you now is actually him setting up better things for you in the future. And then going along with that, his timing is not rushed or delayed. It's perfect. What feels like a pause to you is actually God putting his plan into place and what he has for you and what is going to happen to you. Trust that he has not forgotten you and that every moment of waiting has purpose. Stay faithful, keep praying, and hold on, because God is moving in ways that we cannot yet see. For that one, I have Psalms 37:7. It's my green tab. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not because of those who prosper in their way, because of those who bring wicked schemes to pass. Yeah, that was just kind of a verse. And then also with that, I have Matthew chapter 6, verse 7. Well, it's in here somewhere. There we are. Let's see. Chapter 6. Oh, I had it bookmarked. But when you pray, do not use vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they will be heard for their much speaking. And that's coming directly from Jesus. He's saying, no matter how much you pray, no matter how many words you put into a prayer, it's not going to make anything get done faster. When you pray, you're talking to the Lord, and you're letting him hear what you have to say. And he already has everything planned out, so it's not just going to change overnight. And then, obviously, life can feel heavy. There are days when stress, bad news, and constant pressures make it hard to keep your head up. It gets really tough. And God didn't design our hearts to find peace in circumstances that change every day. And when things feel overwhelming, it is a reminder to lift your eyes back to God. He is steady when everything feels chaotic. You may not be able to control what happens, but you choose where you place your trust. And we need to constantly have faith in God, because he is stronger than anything that is trying to bring us down and anything that tries to hurt us. Going back to God shaping us, it's easy to think that our impact only matters on things when something big happens, or if it's beneficial to us or someone else. That's when most people think that what they do is important. But most of our lives are made up of small, quiet moments that no one sees, like the way you speak to your family, your friends, how you handle stress, whether you choose kindness when it'd be easier to be mean to someone. These are places when your faith really shows, because God is not just watching. God is watching the big milestones, but not just that. He's also watching and cares about your daily choices that shape your heart. And then don't do things just to be accepted by others. Don't act a certain way just to make yourself fit in, because that's not going to get you anywhere. And back to Matthew 6, verse 1 through 2, Jesus says, "Be sure that you do not do your righteous deeds before men to be seen by them. Otherwise you have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Therefore, when you do your charitable deeds, do not sound a trumpet before you as the hypocrites do in synagogues and in the streets, that they may be honored by men. Truly I say to you, they have their reward. But when you do your charitable deeds, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing." So it's just important to remember that we should do things for ourselves, and not to change the way that others see us and to fit in with others. Lost my spot again. Oh yeah, when you stay faithful in little things, even when it feels unnoticed, you are building a life that honors God. And over time, those small acts of obedience grow into something strong and meaningful, even if you cannot see it yet. I had the verse Luke 16:10 down. Okay. He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much, and he who is dishonest in the least is dishonest also in much. So, like, the best way to put that is if you're honest, responsible, and trustworthy in little things like schoolwork, chores, money, promises, homework, all that kinds of stuff, even how you treat people, then you'll likely be trustworthy with bigger opportunities. And then likewise, if someone lies, cheats, or acts selfishly in small situations, those habits usually carry into bigger situations as well. So let's say if a person were to copy after homework or a test, those end up revealing bigger patterns in who they really are. And like on the other hand, someone who stays honest is always doing good, always building others up, at least to a bigger pattern in which that they actually have good morals. And then in this verse, or around this verse, Jesus is talking about stewardship and how people handle what they've been given, especially money and responsibilities. The idea is that faithfulness in small things prepares someone for greater responsibilities spiritually and in life. And I wrote a lot. I have as a side note, which kind of goes to what Pastor Dave was talking about earlier, that God is omnipresent and he's always watching. I've got two verses for this one. Proverbs 15:3. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, watching on the evil and the good. Let me reread that. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, watching on the good and the evil. And then I also have Ephesians 4:6. One God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. So just he is in everybody spiritually. He's everywhere, always watching, always listening, always paying attention to what you do. And that just goes back to he's always watching the little things. And just because you do something small that doesn't immediately impact you and others doesn't mean that it's not important. That's all I have. I did have some explanations for my other verses. So with Isaiah 43, it talks about forgetting your past and like moving on, kind of going with the idea of forgiving and forgetting, because you can't go forward in the future if you don't let go of your past, because you can always forgive and not forget, but you won't move anywhere if you can't do either of those. My Psalms 37:7. Even if we cannot see God and we pray and don't get results right away, it doesn't mean that he isn't there or listening. He just does smaller things that lead to greater things. John 16:33. You will have trouble, but we shouldn't worry, because this is God's world, and everything that happens is part of his plan and what he wants to happen. And then, can't read that. Well, I think what I wrote is, have courage, confidence, and hope in the face of fear, because God is always with us. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you guys for listening.